Hello and happy Monday! How's it going, everybody? Tim is here. Mark, of course, my co-host, is here as usually. Hello, Orlando and Tim and Finn and Sandy and Harley and Steve is also here. I think we got everybody so far. Oh, and Jason. Jason's also here. I got to scroll back through the chat to see who all is here. And Harley, I think I said hello as well. Hello, everybody. Hello, Maya. How are you? I'm excited for your photo. I'm so glad that, I'm not going to lie, I'm super glad that we ended up picking the dark challenge. I wanted that to be the challenge, like, super bad, because I as soon as Maya said that, I immediately had an idea for that, so I was stoked when you guys picked it. Hello, Maya. Hello, Roderick. I'm looking at the chat and getting my names confused. So we're going to just do our little usual thing for about the first 5 minutes. Before we do that, though, a couple of quick notes. Number one, the share room is open, so you can start sharing your photos already. And I'm just going to put that link in the chat. And when you share, please make sure to include the photo details in the share room and some background behind the photo. And tonight we're trying to keep the show to an hour. I've got to be somewhere a little bit after 7 o'clock. Plus, we don't want these to turn into 3-4 hour live streams because we all have lives, and 3 to 4 hours is kind of a long time. So we'll see what happens with tonight, which is why in about 3 minutes we're going to get at it and start sharing. But in the meantime, Mark, why don't you tell us what you've been up to this week? And if you guys... Oh, yes, absolutely. Go right ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I did the last thing and forgot to change that out. Sorry, guys. I'm fixing that up right now. Replace, update. Okay, try talking now, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay. He should be coming through. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh, yeah. So with it only being a 1 hour show, just try to keep it down to one image that you submit. And it's just also as a reminder that the idea behind this is that it's something that you shot within the past 2 weeks. So if it's something old, or try, unless it's something that you really, really want to show, preferably keep it just for a regular show versus this one. Yep.
So next week will be an open share, and that's anything goes. But tonight we do prefer it be shot in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So hello also to MJ. I'm going to say the last part wrong, so I'm just going to say MJ because I don't want to mangle it. Sasista, maybe? Hello, MJ is watching from the Philippines. Hello to Mike, who just joined us, Mike Kaczynski. Roderick went to the ER with pneumonia on March 10th, which is awful.
I thought you were going to say awesome. I was going to say, that doesn't sound that awesome to me.
Awful. That's horrible. And Roderick says, I'm home now, but still coughing up blood and other stuff. So, Roderick, I hope you get better soon. Please take it easy. And,
yeah, definitely.
I think that's probably a good enough excuse for not having a challenge photo for tonight.
Yep.
Having pneumonia, I think, wins. It was awesomely awful, he says. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Yeah, look at all the time you got off work.
Right. You
want to look at the bright side of it.
Roderick, hey, Edith is here. And Leroy, hello. Roderick says, I'm just glad to be feeling kind of normal. I can totally get that. Yeah. So, in less than a minute, Mark, what have you been up to this week in photography?
Mostly just shooting some pictures. Well, my wife wanted some new headshots, so I did some for her because she wanted to show off her new haircut that she got, and for Facebook, of course. And then basically worked on the dark theme. So that was basically about it.
Okay. My week was a little bit busy. Not as much as I thought it was going to be. Of course, a bunch of you already know that Friday we were supposed to do the live stream with Angela, but then that got postponed because of some pretty severe flooding in the central Wisconsin area. And we've rescheduled that. If you didn't catch that, we've rescheduled that live shoot for April 5th. So that will be on that Friday. And you can kind of see it right back there. If you didn't see it already, I built a 4-foot, basically a giant light tent, and Angela's going to pose inside of that thing. It's going to be super fun.
Oh, is that going to be similar to what you did with that other girl where you had her in the box?
Sort of ish, but it's going to look totally different.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Let's see, Ash, hello from SoCal. And Finn said before, I came here 2 weeks ago from Nick Niman's tweet, and he says, so glad he sent me. I am too, Finn. I'm super glad. I was super glad when Nick joined, and then I didn't even realize he tweeted it out, but I think that's super awesome. I love that. Oh, Kim. Hey, Kim, how's it going? Kim's a local photographer friend of mine. Right. Okay, it's 6:06. We should get going with this. Remember, the share room is open, so if you have your photo, go ahead and share it in the share room, and make sure you include the photo details. I'm going to put that link in there one more time, and then we're going to get at it, starting with Mark's photo. So I'm going to bring this up on screen, and then Mark, I'll let you take it away and tell everybody about what you had going on. We'll start with the photo itself, and whenever you're ready, let me know, and I'll switch it off to the background. Okay. Or the behind the scenes, rather.
Yeah, behind the scenes. So this is my dark. Work when I was doing it, it was actually more challenging than I expected because I did it during the day. So trying to keep the room as dark as possible and not get much spill from the lights was a challenge in itself. I also tried to incorporate a little bit of smoke to sort of add some ambience to it, but unfortunately, with just me doing the picture by myself, it just I couldn't get it to work the way I want it. So unfortunately, no smoke. And I also tried to do some color gels, but they didn't come through that well either. So I ended up converting this to black and white. The settings that I used for this, it was shot at ISO 100 at 53 millimeters, f8 and 1/160th of a second. I also did take just to show you guys sort of a behind the scenes shot as well too, just to show the basic setup. So you can throw that up on the screen, and
yep,
there we go. Yeah, I had my camera on the tripod, obviously, is the only way I could do it. Where my jacket's hanging there, that's basically where I stood. And, well, the axe is on the ground there. That's actually behind me right now, too, but I never got it put away. Just to help keep things darker, I used the blue background instead of the white background because I don't have a black backdrop. But with the umbrella, the way you see it there, that is actually how I used it. I just kind of collapsed it down just to make it more of a beam so the light wasn't spreading out everywhere. And then, of course, the background light, which I was using as my rim light, which is sitting there in the corner, and it's on a grid. So that was my basic setup. And then there's also, you can see the stool there with my spray for my fog that didn't work, but.
Is that atmosphere aerosol?
Yep.
I've used that stuff before too. That stuff's awesome.
Yeah, it just disappears real quick. So there's a number of pictures that I took of myself, my arms up in the air like this as I'm spraying. And I didn't time it right with the timer on
trying
the
to spray it. Then you got to throw the can down and quick grab the axe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is a super cool photo, Mark. I love it, and it's cool because you and I had the same basic idea, which was to take a self-portrait and do something super dark and super moody. So you shot a self-portrait in your studio all by yourself. Yours, I would say, was a bit more complicated than mine because I wasn't holding any props and I wasn't trying to add any aerosol to the background.
Right.
But,
which didn't work anyways. But
right.
Yeah, I think I probably, I can have a quick look here. I don't remember exactly how I took. It looks like I took about 30 shots or so to get the one I like, and this one here is actually kind of in the middle of the set. So there were some that were a little bit further, and they looked okay. But I think with this one here, the one that appealed to me the most was how I actually had the axe and how the light was reflecting off the edges. Some of the other ones weren't quite as nice looking, for lack of a better term. There was another one I was facing not straight on, because it was one of those ones where I was trying to spray the aerosol and it caught me mid-turn, and it actually looked pretty good, and I almost used that one, but I decided just to go with this one because I really like the straight on look and everything.
Okay.
And the processing there wasn't really that much done to it other than converting it to black and white and a bit of dodging and burning. The only thing that sort of really messed things up was my hand was quite bright, so I had to darken it quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Otherwise, that's it.
Okay, I like it a lot. I like the grittiness of how your hand looks from the darkening that you did, which, you know, like you said, it was bright, so you're just trying to bring that down. But I like that as kind of a side effect of the shot. I also like that the axe looks kind of dusty and grimy.
Yeah, it's been sitting in my garage for about a year, so I left all the dirt on it.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah, I actually had to hold it this way too instead of the other way, because on the other side there's like writing and that, like the manufacturer's writing, and I figured if I did it this way, then I wouldn't have to worry about it being on there.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. I like that. That's a really cool shot, Mark.
Thanks.
All right, so on that same idea, I'll show you guys my shot. So this is my photo right here. And as you can see, same basic idea, just like I was saying, self-portrait, gels even, although Mark, the gels didn't end up working out for you. Yeah, and the idea here was I wanted to make myself look like super badass and super scary. And of course, you guys know that, you know, I'm a pretty jolly guy, so me looking like this is a pretty stark contrast to sort of my normal, you know, pretty jolly, pretty happy self.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with this. Now, the biggest trouble with this for me was making sure that everything was perfectly even on both sides of me, in terms of positioning everything and getting the lights set just right. And this, I had two lights on stands kind of behind and to the side. So this is the diagram right here. This is just something I quickly threw together. And what I've got is two different lights. I've got two 80-200s that were on my boom arms, right? So this is one of the lights and this is the other light right here. And they were gridded with the blue gels. And the idea is they're not quite rim lights. Now, Mark's shot was a little bit more rim lit. He had some of that light not quite wrapping around, but rather you basically cross-lit yours, because you had the rim light back in the corner. If you look at Mark's shot, let me jump back to that real quick. He's got the rim light back in the corner, and then the collapsed umbrella light up front to give him some light up in the front. Whereas I opted to go with light that's basically not quite backlight, but mostly backlight, with enough of it wrapping around the front that you can catch some of the details in my face, but leaving a lot to the shadow and to the darkness. Those Godoxes were both set to 1/8 power, and the trick in getting them right was getting the positioning of them both just right. Because when I set them up, I actually measured it out to have them the same distance from where I was standing. But just because, you know, I'm a human being and I make errors, I had to end up like moving them and tweaking it a little bit until I got the look just right. My camera settings were ISO 200, 1/250th of a second, and f13. And I went f13 because I wanted it a little bit crunchy. So this is the shot that I ended up with. And then I did take it in to Affinity Photo, and I did a tiny bit of cleanup. I did some dodging and burning, a bit of color grading to the image, and this ended up being my final shot. And for comparison, this is the straight out of the camera. This does have the raw processing done to it. Oh, it's not switching on me. Trying to get it to, let me go into the edit mode. That's straight out of the camera like that. And then that's with the raw processing done to it. And then this is my final edit with dodging and burning, the cleanup, and the color grading. So that's my dark theme shot.
Yeah, it turned out good. I really like it.
Thank you. And want to say hello to Mike, who's just joined us. Nikon rules. Tim says scary, not someone you want to find in an alley. Roderick says nice. Finn says, wow, insane. Edith says, awesome. Steve says it's a movie poster. It is pretty cool. I'm really happy. Yeah, the beard works. Well, I only shaved it for that photo shoot. It wasn't like I shaved it because I wanted to shave it. Also, back to your photo, Mark. The comments we got on that, Finn said that was dope. Tim said he liked it. I like that you can't see one of your eyes. MJ said it was awesome. Steve said very cool image. Harley said doing it as a self-portrait makes it even more of a challenge. Leroy said cool picture. Yeah, so really good comments. Mike says Terminator 2. Yeah, you know, it's got a little bit of that vibe. One of the interesting things, real quick, I'll just say this before we move on to your guys' photos, is I toyed with the idea of going with like a reddish, orangish gel for like kind of a hot, angry, but I instead went for the blue to kind of go with the idea of like a very cold, you know, intensity to it. And I'm really happy that I did that.
I like the dark shadow going right down the middle of your forehead.
Me
like
too.
It just really adds to it.
Yeah, I think that really helps with the intensity. Same too with those super dark shadows, you know, kind of along the bridge of my nose and down by my eyes. And I like that you can just see the outer whites of my eyes. I wanted enough light in my eyes that you could see that, but not enough that you could like see the full detail like my pupil and everything, because I think that darkness, again, adds to that intensity and that mystery. So that's my photo. Harley says, I like the blue. Contrasting colors sometimes works. Yeah, I thought about two colors, but I really wanted like a monocolored tone to the image. So I again opted for just the single and for the blue.
Yeah, I think the single color works well. I think if you went with two colors, it might have been confusing to look at possibly.
Right. All right, so let me jump over to the share room so we can start taking a look at your guys' stuff. Starting with Sandy's here. She was the first to submit. And Sandy added her info in the chat. So let me scroll back up to grab that real quick. She said...
I'll get it if you want to... Oh, you got it set up. Okay,
Yep, I do got it. I forgot. Let's see. My pic was shot at 28 millimeters on a Canon EOS M50. It's at 5.6 in 1/250th of a second. She didn't list the ISO here, but I'm guessing it was probably a lowish ISO, seeing as this looks like it was shot in pretty direct sun. And let's see, went for a dark and creepy look with my edit. And then she just added that my picture is the former home of William Gillette, an actor who played the first Sherlock Holmes. That's super awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, so Mark, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, I really like this shot. The processing looks like an old vintage film, like from like way before the 70s or 60s, like maybe
a Sherlock Holmes, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's perfectly well suited for what you're going for, and it does give it some, even though it's not really a dark picture, it gives it a dark, moody look to it, and that's sort of the whole idea behind these themes, is how you interpret what it is, and I think you've interpreted it quite well here. I really like it. It's well done. I like the way it's framed with the trees kind of surrounding it, so it brings your eye into the castle, plus also the road leading your eyes up to the castle as well, along with the stone edge along it. Everything just leads you right into this picture. It's very, very well done. I really like it.
I agree. I think this is a great example of dark without a lot of darkness.
Yeah,
right?
You don't need to have darkness to be dark. Exactly.
Like the edit obviously helps a lot, because just adding that kind of this isn't quite sepia, but sepia-ish sort of tone to it, and kind of grunging it up a little bit helps. I don't think it's like super grungy, but it looks to me like a little bit of grain or noise was added. I don't know if you did that, Sandy, but that's the feel I get, which I think helps
exactly.
add to that. And then, the darkness in the building itself and some of the heavy shadows that we see really help play that out, even though it's not, dark in the sense of the literal interpretation like, I went for, with a lot of dark, super kind of low-key look in the photo.
It's more like creepy type dark.
Yeah. Oh, she did add grain.
She did add,
Yep. See,
Yeah.
I that's what I thought. I'm glad that I was right. It's neat to be able to kind of see those kinds of things that are subtle changes that when you're looking for them, you can see them, right? But for many people who are just going to kind of take it in and enjoy the image, they're not necessarily going to think about that. Super cool. All right. So let's move on to the next photo. And this one is Maya's shot. I love this. And let me get Maya's information here. Maya said, I couldn't come up with much, but I got this. Shot 1/100th at 5.6 and ISO 800 and then 152 millimeters. And I love this right here. Maya says she's been feeding them so we can practice taking the photos.
Oh, nice. I did that with chipmunks a few years ago. We actually had the chipmunks coming up to us and eating out of our hand. That's how friendly they were getting with us. So it was great for taking pictures of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark. I'll let you start.
No, I really like this one. It definitely suits the theme. A nice dark squirrel. I like the fact that you actually have it in thirds as well too, and you left space where the squirrel's looking, which works quite well. If you didn't leave that space there, it would leave you kind of thinking, oh, it would just look kind of awkward. But the fact that there's space there, so you can look to see where the squirrel's looking, is very smart. That's a lot of people make that mistake, but that's good like that. And it looks like the focus is good on the squirrel, and the background being blurred out too helps pop the squirrel out as well too. The only thing that you might have changed, but it still isn't that big of a deal, is just the fact that the wall is tilting a little bit. But it probably wouldn't make or break the picture, just because of the fact that it is sort of out of focus. So it works either way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Like,
apparently she edited it herself too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep, and this was shot on the Coolpix B500. I agree with what you're saying. I think the squirrel is super cute. We've got nice focus, nice detail in it. I love the feeling of anticipation here, because
he's waiting for his food.
Yeah, well, he's waiting for his food, but there's also this feeling that the squirrel could just like bolt at a minute. He's he's looking at the camera. And the feeling I get is that bit of anticipation of like, okay, what's going to happen here? Am I going to get what I want, which is the food, or do I need to get out of here because, I'm done with whatever's happening and I'm a squirrel and I'm going to go do squirrel things? Now, the other thing I wanted to add is a couple things, actually. Number one, what you said too, the depth of field, the shallower depth of field, throwing that wall out of focus, that's really great, because it really helps the focus stay on the squirrel. And it happens to be a really nice background for the squirrel, because it creates some really nice contrast, and it sets that off quite nicely.
Yeah.
And Steve just added that this was shot through the door wall, and that Maya was so excited she actually got him because he runs around so much. Exactly, right? So he's boom, 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 boom. That's exactly what I'm like seeing is almost as if he's about to bolt. The last thing I want to add about this photo, to me, this image here looks like a super memeable photo. Like,
definitely.
I could see, in fact, I kind of want to give you guys a meme challenge with Maya's photo, if Maya's okay with it. So Maya, if you want, if Maya, if you're up for it, we should do like a meme challenge with this photo. I think that would just be a fun thing to do. And we could all share our meme squirrels next week.
Yeah. Or put them in the group, or whatever the case is.
Yeah, exactly. Finn said, I love it. I would have liked to see the shot a little bit wider, but it's amazing. She said, sure thing, a meme challenge would be fun. Ooh, that's an interesting idea, Jason, that creating photos for memes. Okay, cool. Steve's going to upload the squirrel photo to the Facebook page so we can meme the crap out of it. This is going to be awesome. One more thing I forgot to add at the start of the show before I forget. If you click on the info card, where is it going to be? It's probably going to be over there in the corner where the X is on the squirrel. There's the little I info card, and if you click that, there's a poll with some of the challenges. I can only do 4 options in the poll with some of the challenge ideas from last week. So if you want to vote on that, you can vote on that throughout the show. And then at the end of the show, we'll look at the votes and we'll pick a theme. Also, if you have suggestions for the future themes, go ahead and drop those into the chat, and I'll add those to the list. And then we'll do this on the regular. We'll take the suggestions from this week, we'll vote on them next week, and just do that over and over and over. So with that in mind, go ahead and vote, and then we'll move on to the next photo. And this one is Steve's. And let me just get the info on this. Okay, here we go. Steve says, did a boudoir shot on the 9th. This was shot into a mirror on a door back towards her. And then this was lit with one Evolve 200. That's the same as the AD 200. That's the Flashpoint Adorama version. In a 20-inch deep soft box with the Nikon D6 and the new 50mm f1.8 Nikon Z-mount lens. 1/250th of a second, f1.8, ISO 100. This is really nice. Mark, I'll let you start again.
Yeah, I really like it. I think that the black and white works well here. That being said, I obviously don't know what the color one looks like, but I think black and white, regardless, works well. I was trying to figure out what those things were that were above her head, but I'm assuming that's a plant. I was debating whether or not it was distracting or not. I don't think it is. I think it's okay the way it is. So I'm okay with that. I might have. I'm wondering how a square crop would have worked with this, though. But anyways, regarding the dark theme, it definitely suits the dark theme. I like the nice shadows. I like the dark feel of it. It's the fact that you're kind of looking through a window almost kind of gives or a doorway or a window, whatever it was, almost kind of gives a dark, for lack of a better term, creepy look to it for the theme. But I like it. It's definitely a good suited image for the theme for sure.
Yeah, I very much agree. Steve said he did try a square crop, cut off the door a little bit.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, Edith said the shot is beautiful. Scott says very nice shot. Shane says wow. Yeah, these are great photos. Harley says very nice. I love this because it feels like a stolen moment, like you're kind of peeking into the door, not in a creeper kind of way, but in a, like, this is your significant other, and you're catching her, kind of in that moment kind of way. The very cool thing is I would have had no idea that this was shot into a mirror without Steve sharing it, which is really impressive because shooting into a mirror is a very difficult thing to do without showing you're shooting into a mirror. So bravo for that, Steve, because that in and of itself is a huge accomplishment in this photo. And then on top of that, to have to be such an excellent photo. The shadow play is beautiful. It adds some mystery. It adds that feeling of kind of a stolen moment. Her touching the pearl necklace, I think, is a beautiful touch. I don't know if you directed her.
A bit of sensuality added in.
Yes. And I don't know if you directed that or if that just came out of her, posing for the shot. But it's really absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he's saying he did have her grab it.
Okay, very nicely done. Very nicely done. Yeah. This is really excellent work, Steve. I love it.
Mike comments dark elegance. I completely agree. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and Jason says, I like the vintage feel. It kind of has a 20s feel to it. That's 100%. Yeah. This is fantastic work.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's move on to our next photo. This is Tim's, and let me get Tim's details out of the chat here. I just got to find... Here we go. So Tim says, I tried to play off the dark theme with a light, which I love that, right? Because the thing that generates the polar opposite of dark becomes the subject of the dark theme photo. Yeah. That's a great play. And then Tim says, first time playing with light painting and the most editing I've ever done. He says, man, it's hard to do with a mouse. This was shot at f5.6 and ISO 100. This is a 10-second exposure and a 40mm focal length. And if you didn't catch it, the reason it's a 10-second exposure is because he light painted it using a flashlight, not ambient light and not a flash.
Yeah, I was wondering how he light painted it, but using a flashlight worked well. I was wondering if he just popped the flash or whether he actually used the flashlight. So, but it looks good. I really like it. this definitely suits the theme. It kind of reminds me of the Pixar lamp. Is it Pixar that used the lamp that jumps around?
Yep, that's Pixar.
Yeah. but yeah, I really like it. I like the dark feel to it. I even like it because it has almost a cinematic feel to it, because the blacks aren't black; they have a hint of blue in them, and you tend to get that with cinematic type stuff where the blacks have some blue in them, and it's good. I really like it. It's for something so simple. It's very well done. Good work, Tim.
Yeah, I agree. It's good work. I actually helped Tim out a little bit with the editing stuff, and I think he did a really excellent job with that. And I agree. Like, it has a very cinematic feel. Jason says, I like the contrast of the dark and the light reflecting off the light stand, and he says, I have to admit, I turned the lamp to mimic Pixar. I think that's brilliant, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing I picked up on when I saw it. I was like, oh, Pixar.
That's super clever.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about this is the shadows and the light and how Tim played it out, right? You've got that heavy shadow across the top. Then you have light on the lamp, even though the lamp isn't actually emitting any light. And then you have that shadow cast by the lamp, that very sharp, pretty sharp shape of the lamp reflected, or not reflected, but cast on that back. And then you have the shadow on the bottom kind of framing it in. And the corner in the back, that angularity, gives some interest and some shape to the background that helps you move through this even a little bit more. So I love it. I think it's a really, really great shot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really cool, Tim. And to light paint it on top of that, is pretty cool, because light painting is quite a challenge. It sounds simple: take a long exposure and then use your light and paint the light in. But it's actually pretty darn difficult. So to go at that for this challenge was really impressive, Tim. And I'm really excited for this photo, and really happy with the results that you got here.
I'm curious, how many did you take to get the results that you wanted?
That is a good question. How many shots did you end up shooting, Tim? Let us know.
I'm assuming you photoshopped out the cord too, because I don't see a cord.
Yeah, I think he did. The cord was snaking out underneath the foam boards that were the V-flats, if I recall correctly.
Right.
Tim said the flashlight is a bluish white. Harley says he has a noir feel to it, which is very true. Yeah. Scott says, I like how it's in a corner and the shadow it's giving off. It works, absolutely. Leroy says it's very interesting. Finn says dope. Edith says wow. Yeah, this is great. This is really, really great. All right. Edith says, I submitted 2 photos because I couldn't decide between the 2. Yeah, that's okay, but we'll probably go through them pretty quick, just because, like we mentioned earlier, we want to try to keep this to an hour. So I just want to quick check. Quick reminder, if you want to vote, go ahead and vote in the poll, and we'll take a look at that at the end of the show. All right, so Jason submitted this photo. Now, he said after we mentioned the time frame that we like for these to be in, that this is actually an older photo, but that's okay. I still want to take a minute and talk about it and look at it, because I think it fits the theme really, really well. And yes, like Mark said at the beginning, the whole idea is to get out there and take some damn photos, but we'll give you a pass this time, Jason. So let me find the details here, and let's see here. I'm just looking for him in the chat. There we go. Shot of my son's face paint. He said pretty heavy edit for the coloring, and then a mostly black background. The photo was shot at ISO 100 and then at f4.5 with 1/200th of a second, and then used a flash. And it looks like the flash was kind of top-ish down flash. You can tell kind of by the shadowing on the face, and shot with a Canon T6. So go ahead, Mark. I'll let you start again.
Okay, I'll say it looks like my internet's doing some wonky stuff, so hopefully I don't disappear. But it's good. I like the edit, the makeup, and the lighting. The lighting is as top down as it is, does give it that eerie dark feel to it for sure. Other than that, I wish it. I normally wouldn't say this, but it was in the frame instead of having the extra space on the right-hand side. Other than that, I like it. It's a gorgeous shot. Definitely fits the theme.
Now I'm the opposite. I like that he's not centered. That there's a little bit of centeredness, a little bit of off balance feel to it, because I think it adds to the creepiness. And this is also another shot that shows that in order to do dark, you don't have to be entirely dark with the photo.
Right,
Generally,
absolutely.
yeah, this has, of course, a mostly black background, but in terms of the lighting on the subject, it's fairly high key. There's a lot of brightness to this. There's a lot of highlights there, but the intensity of his stare and that face paint is super dark and super creepy, and I really dig it. And this is a great example of where the intensity in the eyes, along with everything else, adds to the darkness of it. Like I cannot not stare into his eyes, and then everything else around it, it's super dark. And it's really great. Jason says the background was not black out of camera, so that was done up in post, which is not a big deal. Sonia, I'll answer your question here in just a moment. Harley says the light on the eyes is perfect, enough to see the bottom, but dark, heavy shadows on the top. 100% agree with that. Scott says these eyes are intense. Shane says savage. 100% savage. Yeah, 100% savage. Yeah. Mike says it's a great shot, but I would crop out so we could at least see his chin. I'm okay with the chin being cut off. In fact, I didn't even notice it until you mentioned it. I am so taken by the eyes that everything else just, almost fades away. You know what I mean?
I noticed the chin, and I kind of questioned it. It was kind of like it is meant to be a nice tight shot, so it didn't bother me in this case. Normally I would have said something, but in this case, just because the main focus is the eyes and the close up and the intensity, I think it being tight like this works.
I agree. Let's see. Harley says that's quite the makeup job. Edith says awesome. Jason said, I think it was supposed to be zombie face paint, not clowns. But that's in response to what Tim said. This is kind of hilarious. Tim says, I don't mean this towards your son at all, but man, that's a creepy shot. I don't like clowns at all. But it does have a bit of a clownish feel to it, which, along with everything else, is pretty dark, which I dig. I super dig. And Jason said, thanks. That's what I was going for, is creepy. So that worked.
Just to creep Tim out.
Yeah, exactly. So Tim did, to follow up on your question from Tim Shot. Tim said, I took 4 shots with the flashlights from different angles. And he said, this I liked especially because the light bulb is almost blacked out. Yeah, that's cool. That's very, very cool. And Jason says, I have this one printed and hanging in my office. That's nice. Awesome. That is awesome. I super love that. I super love that. Yeah. Okay, so real quick, just to recap, because Sonia had a question. She wants to be able to join the challenges. What we do, just to recap this, is we set a challenge every 2 weeks. So this was the deadline for the last challenge, which we set 2 weeks ago. At the end of the show tonight, we'll set the next challenge. And then over the next 2 weeks, you have the time to shoot the photo based on that theme. And then on that show, which will be the April 1st show, I'm sensing I'm sensing some opportunity for theme ideas here. Then you submit your photo on that night for the show, and we go over the show, the images like we're doing tonight. So if you want to join, just stick around to the end of the show, and we'll have that. And also, again, just a reminder, if you click the info card in the upper right-hand corner of the video, you can vote on the poll. And if you have a suggestion for a theme, go ahead and put that into the chat. All right, so this next shot, I believe, is Finn's shot, if I'm correct. If not, do we have a link for the squirrel meme photo? That's going to be in the Facebook group. If you want to grab that, Mark, and drop that in, that would be awesome. Okay. I'm gonna find the info for this next photo here real quick. All righty. So looking for the user info.
And it is already posted to in the group. I just saw it there.
Perfect. So here we go. This photo edited with the free Windows Photo Editor. This was shot on a Canon T3i with the 10 to 18 millimeter lens, and the settings were ISO 100, aperture of f5.6, and a 1/125th of a second shutter speed at 18 millimeters. And then he says, I just had my sister hold up her hand near a light bulb and then framed it and shot it. So this is pretty cool. Mark, again, I'll let you go ahead on this.
Okay, yeah. This one is just so simple.
Oh, this
that
is
I like
Finn's.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so simple. I like it. It's I want to say it was simple to do, but it probably wasn't because you had to figure out your exposure and get everything else dark. But the concept is so simple that it works so well. It's so. I'm not even really sure how to describe it, but I like it, and I like it a lot. I can't even really think of anything negative really to say about it. It's just the concept is just so different that it works so well.
Yeah, I think this is super effective as well. The light bulb and the way her hand is lit is just superb, just really, really superb, especially in the way you isolated that out from the rest of the frame. So this is a pretty challenging shot, I think. Like, it looks simple, but like you said, Mark, the execution of getting those exposure settings just right and getting the illumination on the hand, but not having too much of the background illuminated. It's really, really well done. Now, Finn did say earlier that he added grain to this, which I think, just like we were talking about with Sandy, it helps. It helps add a little bit of that darkness and that kind of crunchiness to it that really adds into the theme. And Steve says, looks like a creeper is reaching out to turn the light off to fade back into the darkness. That's exactly the kind of feel I get out of this. Like, this feels like something you would see, a frame from a film that a horror movie with, you know, the slasher, the bad guy, the whatever, you know, about to take out a light and cast everything in the darkness and then prey upon those figures.
And then he shows up with his gas mask and his axe.
Right, exactly. Yeah, this is really excellent. So, let's see. Tim says, I like the grainy bit you said you added. I think it really works in this shot. Harley says, great image. Excellent. Yeah, I agree. Sonia says, cool. I like this. Let's see what else here. Oh, Jim is back. Hey, Jim, how you been? Heartbreaks Lati says, are you afraid of the dark feeling? Yep. Oh, Edith says, it makes me think of Idle Hands. Yes, I love that movie. Oh my God, do you guys remember that movie? Idle Hands?
I never saw it.
Oh God, yeah, that was a great movie. That's a great movie. Sandy says, and then goes back home to his creepy castle. Exactly. Yeah. Right? We're writing a film here tonight. Yeah. Excellent. Sandy's seen it. I mean, Sonia's seen it for sure. Right. That's awesome. Finn, thank you. This is really, really great shot. Okay, so this is Edith's, and Edith says she had the two shots and she couldn't decide between the two, so she shared two. So real quick, let me find her info. She says, when I heard of the theme was dark, I immediately thought of a low-key shot. My mom brought me a backdrop setup for Christmas. That's awesome. And she said, I figured this would be the perfect opportunity to use it. Absolutely. I was very nervous because this was the first time I shot a portrait and used the backdrop. And then I used the AD200 on both shots. The first shot, and she says the crop didn't take on that one. The settings were 1/125th, f8, ISO is missing, in a 24 or 32 inch softbox. I'm guessing it was probably ISO 100. Yeah, ISO 100. And the second shot, we'll just look at the first shot here. And then she says, hopefully this fits the theme. My mom was the model. The hoodie is a play on the Black Panther movie. I think it works.
Yeah,
I'll let you go ahead. Yeah, I'll let you go ahead, Mark, again, and then I'll follow up.
Okay.
And then we'll take a look at the second shot.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely 100% fits the theme, just because A, Black Panther, so therefore you're kind of dark there. Plus, you have the dark outfit on, the dark background, you have dark, moody lighting. Everything just works well for the theme, for sure. It is a shame that you couldn't have moved over a little bit so you didn't get the edge of the background on the right hand side of the photo there. But
yeah, I think that's where the crop didn't take that she said she tried to do.
Right. But I don't know. I'm not sure Edith's Photoshop skills, but that wouldn't be difficult to clean that up and make it all dark as well too. So it would probably be a fun little project if you are trying to learn Photoshop or some similar photo editing program. That might be a fun project to try and just clean that up, just to finalize the picture. But otherwise, I do like it. It's good. It's definitely fits the theme for sure, 100%.
I agree, and I like the head down. I like the top of the hoodie. I like that you can't see your mom's face here. It adds some of that darkness, and it adds a bit of an ominous, but also kind of a I don't know if sad's the right word, but to me this feels like a pretty emotionally intense photo. And you know, I don't know how much you meant it to be that way, Edith, but for me that's coming across pretty strongly.
I almost envision whoever's under the hood looking up, and you just see the skull face or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that would play into the horror film we've got rolling with the combination of these photos here, right? So I really like it. As like Mark said, of course, that bit of background that when the crop didn't take, which you know you went to crop it out anyway, so that's not a big deal to fix. But I like this one. But what I really like is the next one. So this is the second shot. And when I saw this one, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's the one.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the one thing that's a little bit unfortunate here is in the first shot here, you can see the full panther. And in the second shot, you just get you get the PAN, but the third is lost.
And I think if you were going specifically for the panther, the first one would be better. But if the panther wasn't important in the shot, then I think this would be the shot.
Yeah, Edith, if you want to clarify how much, if you wanted the panther to show in the second shot or not, I'm not sure either, obviously, but I would love to see that fully lit on this second shot, and that would just be a little bit of adjustment of lighting, which. And this was I don't believe when you shot this, Edith, you had your second 8200 yet, because I know you said you have just ordered or you're about to order. But even just taking a reflector and just bouncing a little bit of light back up into the sweater, the hoodie, to get the rest of the lettering would make this one even better. I mean, it's already great, and I love this one already. Because this one really embraces the dark. This other one, whoops, I'm going to go back the other direction. Excuse me. This other one is a little higher key. I still think this one works out really well, but I think the second one here has a much stronger initial impact because it's much lower key than that first one is. So they both have their merits, but of the two, I really like the second one.
Yep.
Okay, so Edith says, I did want the full panther, but I ended up just really liking how it came out. I agree with you 100%. I love how this came out too. Jim says a darker Peter Pan. That's a little bit funny. Yeah. Tim says, nice shots. I prefer the second one for the theme. Harley says moody. Absolutely. Shane says Black Panther. Absolutely. Yeah, this is really great work. Okay, let's see what we've got for the next photo. All right, this here is, I'm looking for the information here, Penthus. Okay, so Penthus, this is the Canon 60D with the kit lens, ISO 2000-ish at 5.6, 5-second exposure, and looks like, I'm not sure what the other bit of information here is. So this, okay, Tim's got to go. Thanks for hanging out.
See you later, Tim.
All right, I'll let you go ahead first, Mark, on this one again.
Okay, yeah, this one here, this one's an interesting one because you definitely see where the darkness is coming from, the inside of the room, but yet there's still some, I guess, for lack of a better term, light at the end of the tunnel, because it's not a tunnel, but you kind of get that tunnel idea because you're seeing this light in this big dark area, and this gentleman out here just standing there. I definitely think it suits the theme pretty good. It's, like I said, dark, but then it's also light, so sort of contrasting light and dark all into one shot here.
What I find super interesting about this one is the broken window and the brick sitting on the sill there. So there's an incongruity to this shot because you have what looks like a rather innocuous scene. Catch you later, Finn. Hope you're able to pop back
Finn.
in. Yeah, he says he's got to head out too. Thanks for letting it play, Tim, or Finn. I appreciate that. So it feels like an initially kind of innocuous scene. You're looking out the window, you see somebody out there with their camera taking some pictures, getting out there to take some damn photos, right?
Yep.
Right? That's the thing to do. But then, like Cyberdoc says, and like you said, Tim, you know, I like the sneaky view. This feels a little bit like a voyeur. Shane says feels like a sniper taking aim. So there is a definite darkness to this because of that broken window and that brick sitting there and the dark frame of the interior framing this out. And the thing that I think works out really well here is the fact that the person in the shot here is not in focus, right? What's in focus is the window and some of those details. So what's happening here is the person in the background is a secondary element. That doesn't make them unimportant to the shot, but it helps frame this in a way that draws your attention to the elements around the subject rather than making the subject the center of the attention. So I think this is really interesting and really well executed shot and a neat play on the theme as well because, again, we're seeing... And I knew we were going to see this, and I'm excited that we're seeing this. We're seeing both Dark embracing the very idea of darkness, like myself and Mark and Edith with her second shot, and Finn with his, and Tim. And then flipping that around and shooting brighter shots, but still embracing that theme and interpreting it in a different way. So really, really excellent work here. Edith says, cool shot, and that the second 8200 came at 4 or 5 today, so it just arrived. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the next photo. I think, yep, we had this one duplicated. So this here, let me find the information for this photo. And this one came in from Mila's, so I'm looking for the info in... I don't see any info shared on this one in the chat. Okay, so whomever's this photo is, if you could share your information on this photo in the chat, we'll come back to it. I'll actually move on to the next shot. Oh, here we go. Scott just added his information. My photo was shot on the D7200. This is ISO 100, f8. Says, not sure of the shutter speed. He said, again, didn't realize that we were supposed to add the data. Got in later. That's okay. This is a new process for all of us. So
we're all learning.
Yep, we're all learning and we're all having a good time. Cyberdoc, don't be scared to share your photos. We're here to, you know, to help each other out, to lift each other up, to talk about these in a constructive way, and share and be enthusiastic about all of this. So. Yeah, Shane says, I've got to stop being anonymous. You guys are all so cool. I get nervous submitting. I get that nervousness. I do, but I really would encourage you guys to share because we're all about lifting each other up.
Yeah, we're not here to trash you. We're here to help you.
Yeah. So go right ahead, Mark. I'll let you start again. And as per, I'll follow up.
Okay. It definitely fits the theme of dark, and it kind of reminds me actually sort of yours, how it looks like it's actually backlit a little bit as well too. So I like that whose was it? Is it Scott's? Yeah.
This is Scott's.
So I like how he's experimenting with using light in a backlit situation like this. So it's good because you get to kind of see how things work. A couple of people commented about maybe it being a little bit too dark, and I think in this case, even though the theme is dark, I think I would tend to agree that it might be a little bit too dark for what Scott was going for here. But otherwise, it's a good shot. I like the fact that he's experimenting with backlighting and trying something different. I'm assuming this is something different for Scott, but it's something that's not normally done is backlit like that for most people anyway. So I do like that. But I might try to just maybe boost the shadows a little bit, just to sort of add a little bit of light to the side of her face that's facing us.
I'm thinking because on my screen it looks pretty decently exposed, so
Oh,
it may
does it?
be,
Okay.
yeah, it may be losing some of that in the translation through the internet.
That's possible too.
That being said, you could boost it up a little bit. I don't think it would hurt it, but I also think that as it is, again, on my screen, it's actually coming through really well.
Okay.
And this is what you'd call short lighting, because the way she's posed, you know, if you look at a pose, you've got a broad side of the face where you see more of it, and then the short side of the face where you see less of it, short, broad. And so this is called short lighting because the principal amount of light is on the short side of her face. So it's kind of like, it's like Mark was saying, this is more of a back or a rim-ish style light. Scott says this is the first time trying this, and I can see where maybe a little more light could be good. Hello, Peter from Vancouver. Thanks for joining. So I love this lighting, and I love this shot. Now, a couple people mentioned that they'd like to see some rim light on the back to outline her and separate her from that background. I disagree. I love that our attention is brought on her front and the shape of her hair and the detail of her hair and then the features of her face and then moving on down her torso. And you could certainly rim out the back and bring some of that up and add some shape there. But I like that it fades out. I like that it helps bring our attention to the front. I've got to say, like, my favorite detail here is the curls on top of her head. I just love the way the light and the shadow plays in there and how you move down through her hair and then again, like I said, through the features of her face and down into her torso. And I think this is a really well done shot. You certainly could, you know, like you said, bring it up a little bit. But otherwise, Scott, I think you did a really bang up job here. This is really nice. That lighting is just, honestly, I think it's beautiful. It's very simple, but it's very clean and very effective. Oh, I think we lost Mark. I think Mark froze up on us. Okay. Well, we're just about done. Let me grab another link. I'm going to pop Mark a new link real quick, and then I'm going to continue on so that we can finish up the show here. Okay, so he should be rejoining us in just a moment. In the meantime, I will move on to the next photo. Scott says, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good stuff. Edith says, Cyberdoc says, I'm interested in her hair, but I can't see it. Her hair is complex. Yeah, that's a really good point. Hey, Mark's back. All right. Let me just...
For about 5 seconds. That's all. Two things up.
Yep, that's just enough to do it. And Cyberdoc was just saying, I'm interested in her hair, but I can't see it. Her hair is complex. That is a fair point for adding a bit more light to her hair. And I was even talking about how much I love the detail of her hair on top. But again, regardless of that, I think this is really well done either way. And I love the photos that you guys are sharing here. So just a quick reminder, we're going to finish up the photos before we close out the show. So if you've got your photo in the share room already, don't worry, we're going to get to it. Harley, I didn't get your image via email, so I will bring that up as well. Let me just open up my email and make sure it's in there. And there it is. Excellent. Okay, I'll bring this back then in here in just a minute. So a couple of things just before we wrap up the show. Again, reminder, click the info card up in the corner to vote for next week's challenge. Peter asked when the next live show is. These live shows are, this Photo Blab live show that Mark and I do is every Monday at 6 p.m. Central Time. If I recall correctly, that's 11 p.m. Zulu time. And then on Fridays, I also do a live stream by myself where we hang out and I pretend or try to edit photos while we chat. And that is Friday, every Friday at noon, 12 p.m. Central Time. I don't know what time Zulu that would be. So we'll get back to that. And the last bit of information is if you have a theme idea, go ahead and share it into the chat, and I'll add that to the rolling list of theme ideas. And again, importantly, don't forget to vote in the poll. We need you to vote on the next theme, so click that info card up in the corner and vote on that. It's in the other corner over here. I keep pointing in the wrong direction. Right there.
Top right.
Yeah. Hello, Max's Motorsports. No problem, Peter. Thank you very much. Okay, so this next photo is a sunset, and I'm not sure if we have any additional information, so let me take a look. Just Canadian sunset, can't recall the settings. So go ahead, Mark.
Gotta love Canadian sunsets.
Right?
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful sunset. It definitely represents the theme because this sunset means that darkness is coming on, and you still get the darkness of the hills and the backside of the clouds, but you're still getting some lovely colors as well too from the sunsets, and even the reds from the sunset are dark and rich. So it definitely fits the theme for sure. It's a good photo. I really like it.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to see any sunsets because you can play into dark with sunsets fairly easily and effectively, and we did, which is awesome. Shane says I'm detecting a biased opinion from our resident Canadian.
Yeah, from our resident Canadian, yeah, exactly.
Right. Absolutely. So I like this too. Like Mark said, you've got that bright intensity, but there's a lot of darkness around it, and that contrast plays out really, really well. And what's effective about this is even though it is a sunset, it is predominantly darker toned. You have a good deal of highlight in those clouds, but the overall image actually has a darkness to it exactly. And Harley says, love the layers on the mountains. I 100% agree with that. And even in the clouds, you get that layering because of the way the light plays in through the clouds. So this works out really well, even though it is of the sun, the brightest object that, at least as far as I know, the brightest object that we as human beings are aware of, which is pretty darn cool. And I think for the last photo we have, Ashes, which is awesome, and then Harley's, which I have to grab from Dropbox. But let me get Ash's info here. Let's see. Shot this at my studio during an open house I held. Awesome. F14 to kill the ambient light. And then 1/160th and ISO 100 with a 600 watt second strobe. Just to give you an idea, a 600 watt second strobe is about 3 8200s in terms of power. The 8200 means 200 watt seconds. So a fairly powerful strobe. And then this was in a beauty dish with a sock on it. So if you don't know what that means, a beauty dish is essentially a metallic, fairly shallow bowl that you put around your light. And the idea is that it softens the light to a degree. And if you look at the shadows on her face, you can see what we're talking about. If you look at the shadow areas, there are smooth transitions in between the shadow and the highlights. It's not a straight, hard cutoff. However, because it is a dish and it has a metallic surface, sometimes it's a shiny silvery surface, sometimes it's white, it actually adds specularity to the image. Specularity increases contrast because it makes your highlights brighter, and it actually tends to make your shadows a little bit deeper. However, the sock added to the beauty dish is a diffusion surface. And what that means is the specularity of the beauty dish is actually reduced a little bit because when you force your light through a diffusion material, it spreads that light out, and spreading that light out helps reduce the specularity. So I wanted to explain that if you're not familiar. And then Ash said this is on the Nikon D750. He says, sorry, I didn't hear that you wanted recent photos. Again, that's okay. We're giving you guys a pass on the recent photos right now because we're still getting all of this up and rolling.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, Mark, go ahead.
No, I'd just like to say we have an important person in the group here. We have Justin Bieber in here.
Yeah, I see that. I'm pretty sure that's not the real Justin Bieber.
You don't think so? It might be.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, onto the photo. I definitely like this one here. It's a beautiful studio portrait. The editing's done, the lighting's done nicely. A nice dark background. Using a single light, I like the way that the shadows drop off, and because it's a single light, it definitely adds darkness to the other side and leaves a little bit of mystery. Normally with portraits, I tend to do some portraits with them looking at the camera and some looking not at the camera. And this, with her not looking at the camera, I think it works well in this shot. Other than that, I don't know what else to say. It's a brilliant portrait. I love it.
I agree. It's a really gorgeous portrait. I like beauty dishes as well, though I don't use them very often. And I love the light that you can create with a beauty dish. And this is used to really great effect here. I love how the light's playing in her hair. I love how it falls off into the shadow in that dark background, playing into that theme of the darkness. And I love the way the shadows carve and shape out her face. That's one of my favorite things about taking photos and taking portraits, is using the light and the shadow to carve out and create shapes. It's almost like you're sculpting with light, and I think this is really, really beautifully done.
Definitely.
So, yeah, thank you very much for sharing this. The last photo I got to drop into my Dropbox is Harley's, and then we'll have to wrap this up. So let me find my...
That looks like my picture.
Yeah, you get to see. Here we go. So this is Harley's photo right here, and let me grab up the details real quick. He says, not a great image, just playing around with the new ND filter. He says what makes it dark is the use of the filter for long exposure. F22, ISO 100, and 8 seconds, which is pretty cool. So
yeah,
this
that's definitely a different way of looking at a dark picture. It's not really dark, but the way it was done using a dark filter, that's definitely an interesting way to think of the theme. I don't think I would have thought of that.
Yep, and I like that. Effectively using the filter for that long of an exposure eliminates the traffic because it's moving through the shot. However, you can still see trace elements of it. You know, you can see the little light trails, and you can see some of the traffic streaking. And what I like about that is it actually adds a darkness and heaviness to the road and an atmosphere to the image that adds to that dark feeling.
Yeah.
So playing around with an ND filter, which is a dark surface that you're shooting through, plays into the theme really nicely. And I think it adds to the shot as well because of that ambiance that it adds.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh, Ash said that's his niece that he photographed there. Awesome. That's a gorgeous, gorgeous photo. I love that photo of her.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay.
Agreeing, not disagreeing.
Right. So we do have to wrap this up now. I've got somebody here waiting for me, and I'm already running a little bit late. But the last recap of this, our next theme is in 2 weeks. If you have not yet voted on the poll, click the info card in the corner and vote on the poll. That's where we're going to choose the theme from. And
Texture is winning.
What is?
Texture is winning.
Okay, so it looks like texture is winning. I don't even know how to see the results of my own polls. So texture is winning, and if it's winning, then I say that's the theme for next time. In the meantime, if you have a theme that you'd like us to consider that you guys want to vote on, make sure you contact myself or Mark, and we'll get that for next week. Yeah. So I'm putting this in the chat. Texture's the next theme. Photos due April 1st. Okay, with that, I got to go. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Mark, you got any last words you want to add here?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Okay, texture's the next theme. Photos are due April 1st. You guys have a great week. I'll be back on Friday with the live edit. Make sure you guys get out there and take some damn photos. We will see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye, everybody.